All right, guys, welcome to episode number 87, where we're going to continue our little discussion about how February is one of the most important months, and we're going to talk about prioritizing the quality workouts.
Yeah, it's one of the most important months. It's also one of the hardest months.
Yes.
We talked about this in the episode a couple of weeks ago and how difficult February is, and it's getting even more difficult because we've had these nice days to be outside riding, and then now it's going to turn cold again. So we're in our second winter, I think, in the Midwest.
Yep.
And so now we got to figure out, like, okay, how are you going to get the quality in over the next couple of weeks to round this month out? Because again, if you don't get February right, it's going to make it really hard to be at your best when you need it the most. So.
Yeah, and that'll lead us into our next topic, which is panic training.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
Definitely don't want to do that this time of year.
No.
But first, we're going to get to some other business. We're going to talk about our open range giveaway.
Yeah.
So again, if you haven't subscribed to the SufferSooner podcast, subscribe.
Time's running out.
Yeah, time's running out. We're trying to get 100 subscribers on March, and we're getting close.
It's getting there.
So have your friends, anybody who's looking to go to open range and they want a free entry, save some money.
Yeah.
Or they're thinking about going to open range and doing one of the other events. Let them know to sign up. Make sure they're subscribed, and they can get entered in to getting a free entry.
Yeah.
All they got to do is subscribe and then leave a heart emoji.
Right. I mean, it's, again, pure engagement farming.
Yep. It's
fine.
super engagement farming. We get it totally, but you guys are getting something totally
right.
for free.
That's right. And the only thing we get out of it is just maybe a little bit more visibility, and hopefully we get to connect with that one more person that finds value in what we're doing here. So,
yep, exactly.
But seriously, I'd love to give that additional giveaway. So hopefully we can hit the goal. And if we don't, well, we don't. But we still have one to give away.
Yep.
So don't be afraid to enter. Enter twice if you want to. But we're going to have some fun with the giveaway. We haven't quite nailed down the details on it yet, but we got some ideas.
Yeah, we got some ideas, and they're going to be fun. So, like, the more you guys are engaged with it, the funner it's going to be.
That's right.
So it just makes it all kind of fun, and just trying to have a little bit of fun with all of this. And,
that's right.
In these crazy times, for sure.
That's right. So February is we're about halfway through February, and again, it's been beautiful weather here in the Midwest, so had a chance to get outside and over the last couple of weeks, we talked about, again, the importance of February. We've talked about, sort of how do you identify the progress, and then now is prioritizing the quality. So, so when you think about the quality, I mean, the week. The thing is, it's so easy to let workouts slip away this time of year, and it happens. Life gets in the way. It's the new year is kind of now it's starting to get going. Especially for depending on kind of work you do, if you work in the industry I work in, February is not a time to back off. I mean, it tends to get kind of busy. So a lot of times you find yourself trying to figure out, like, well, if I have to miss a workout, what does that mean? And how do I make these adjustments in the week? And what am I going to do? So I don't know if you want to maybe give just a couple of pointers. Like, what are some of the things you look for early on when you look ahead at the week? You're like, what, I got to make some adjustments. How do you make that decision, and how do you work with your coach to make those types of decisions to maximize the quality of your plan and to get the most out of it? Yeah.
So usually what I look at is, what is the focus of this training block, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, for you, for example, it's strength. Mm-hmm. For me, it's strength, and it's a swim block for me, really. Yeah. So you take all the stuff that the focus is on. So for me, it's strength and swimming.
Yep.
So those are the ones I have to hit.
That's right.
So no negotiation. If I have something like, instead of swimming on a master's day, I have to swim a different day.
Right.
So that gets moved. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it's, then you're looking at, all right, so do I have like an easy recovery run, or do I have a easy bike ride or something like that, where it's just kind of recovery, but it's active recovery. Those ones can usually be the first to go,
right?
Because they're there for you to get time in the saddle or time on your feet.
Sure.
But they're kind of just adding a little extra with, not too much, physiological cost. Mm-hmm. So you're getting endurance gains off of these easy rides.
Right.
You're not really getting strength gains. So
right.
they're not technically part of the whole
Yeah.
overarching strength program.
It's volume. It's keeping you active, keeping you moving, keeping your fitness at a certain level, but it's not the priority, right?
Right.
It's not where you're going to get the gains that you're looking for.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll help. Usually with those easy rides, I tend to find them, if I do skip them, I do feel flatter on the next day.
I've noticed that for me.
So I do need to, like, the moving and going through the easy workouts is still important if you can do it. But if you can't, the whole idea is that you're not wrecking your plan by skipping that. Now, if I were to skip like swimming and strength work, then I'm throwing a wrench into the plan.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's the thing. And I look at this like, prioritizing the quality on a couple of fronts. We just kind of started off with the, what happens if you have to make the adjustments and you had to maybe miss a workout. I think it goes the other way too, prioritizing the quality and not overcooking a workout.
Yeah.
And don't stretch yourself too far. And I think I've probably done this a couple of times in the last several weeks now, where I will, because I'm in a strength block, as you mentioned, we talked about the last couple of weeks. I've had days where I've done the strength, and then the next day it's supposed to be like an endurance ride, or it's supposed to be, something relatively light, stretching of some kind. But man, I get up the next day and I'm a little sore, or didn't recover very well the night before, or whatever reason, and it's not hard to make the adjustment. Like, again, the focus is strength. So if I had another lift day, and I've had these where I've had back-to-back lift days, the primary lift day was the first day. You're fresh. You can put the maximum weight on to do the movements. You get in, you get out, done, right?
Yeah.
The second day, that's where if I had to make a sacrifice to help aid my recovery, that's the day to do it.
Yeah.
Because that first day has to be quality. The second day, I can cut a rep, right? Or I can lighten the load a little bit and still go through all the movements and make sure that I'm still getting the function, but maybe it's just not quite as high of a level, and that's okay. And then the next day maybe is a full recovery or a full mobility, and then right back to a heavy lift day, because you want to be fresh. So for me, I recognize pretty quickly that first lift day, the first of those two parts of the week, that first lift is the most important. That has to be high quality. You better go in sharp and hit it hard. And then the second day, hey, if you're a little bit off, it's okay. Like that's where you can make the sacrifice. Yeah. And then the weekend gets here, and it's like, so I've got some rides on the weekends, but because this is a strength block, and this is what we were talking about this before, it's like typically my Februaries would be a hard Saturday ride and then an easy long Sunday ride. And this block, like most of my Saturdays have not had that hard ride yet. Now they're starting to creep in now, of course, but the long ride is still important because you've got to have that cardio day. Yep. Even if you're in a strength block, you need that one cardio day to keep that base from eroding too much. Yep. And I think that's it. Like whatever phase you're in your training plan, or whatever you've worked with your coach on, like it's so important to protect, like identify the key workout, protect it, and execute it at all costs. Yep. It sounds so simple, but it's never that easy.
Right. Cause you'll get to a day where you're like, today I had VO2 max work on my bike ride. Yeah. And yesterday we did a lot of some different swim sets, and I'm cooked. I'm very, very cooked.
I could see it when you came in today.
I'm very cooked. I don't know, we probably did like almost 800 yards of like just straight breaststroke. And,
sure. And right now there's a swimmer going, that's it?
Yeah. They're just going like, that's it. Trust me, it's hard. And breaststroke is like my second favorite stroke. So sure. I'm okay at it. Yeah. And then we did another, 1,000, 2,000 yards of freestyle. So I went into the VO2 max work. I'm basically like my hips and my legs are really cooked. And so I was like, all right, well, we're going to go through this first set, and we're going to hold the power and we're going to hold the cadence. Yep. And the metrics that I look at are, is my heart rate recovering between, or is it, since these were 20/40s, okay, my heart rate's never
20 on, 40 off.
Yeah. 20 on, 40 off. My heart rate's never going to fully recover. Sure. But it's not going to creep up past what VO2 max heart rate should be. Right. Then the other thing I look at is, are my muscles firing correctly? So I try to hit the same cadence at the same power. Yep. And I do that for the first set. Right. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. And I get ready for the next set. Yep. And basically I do it, rounds of 10, and then I get to the next set, I complete that, but it's very hard at the very end.
Yeah.
And so basically that last one was the one that was where I was like, all right, if I had another set of these,
right.
We're not doing those.
I'm out.
We're not.
Yeah.
So it was just the right amount. So again, you got to look at these factors of how hard's the workout supposed to feel?
Right.
How hard do you think it feels? And then are you able to hit the metrics that you're supposed to be hitting?
Right.
So, and if those start to fall off, if my power was falling off or my cadence was falling off, then I would have shut it down earlier.
Right.
Because I just didn't have it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, again, it kind of goes back to what's the focus of the block.
Yep.
So I in a similar, and we're going to give these examples because I'm sure everybody that's listening is probably in a similar position. If you're getting all prepped up for the spring gravel season, it's like, your February, the block you're in right now has a specific focus. So these are just some examples based on where we're at.
Yeah, this is our blocks.
Right.
Now, whatever you're doing and whatever you decided to do or your coach has decided to do, that's right for you.
Right, exactly.
And so we're just giving you the examples of what we look for.
It's interesting because we were talking about this before we started recording. It's interesting because we both are kind of in the strength phase right now, and this is foreign for me because I've said this when I put the block in.
And my strength block looks a lot different than Danny's strength block.
It looks very different.
Very different.
Very different. So mine is what I would call more of a traditional weightlifting block where I've got specific days that are, and almost all of it is targeted on bike muscles. It's mostly core, a little bit of upper body, but mostly core and sort of trunk, if you will. And so it's foreign to me because normally in a given year prior to this, I would be riding until my wheels fell off. I would just like, hey, if you just ride more, it's going to get better, right? Yep. And so I'd be doing much longer rides. It was not uncommon for us to jump on Zwift in February and maybe do a century ride on Zwift, which you can say, is that really a century? I don't know. Is it?
I rode 100 miles, but I didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, and I know there's a few people that we know, maybe even listeners of this show that I saw just this last weekend did a 6-hour trainer road ride that added up to just over 100 miles. And I'm like, good on you. Yeah. Good on you. Nope. So stare at that blue screen that long. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
everybody, that's just different.
That's just different approaches.
Yeah.
Right. And this, for this year, this is what I've decided to do because I feel like that this is a area of my cycling that if the answer was to ride more, then I would have seen different results last year because I did ride more at times for blocks of time anyway. So good example that I just faced today and I got to deal with it is yesterday was a heavy lift day. And it's like the important part of this particular section is I've got 2 weeks here where I've got a heavy lift day followed by a day like today, which is 15 seconds on, 15 seconds off, 4 times, rest for 5 minutes.
Yeah, and these are all out sprints.
All out sprints, gas, full gas,
yep.
Seated accelerations. Do that 4 times. So it sounds like it's not that bad of a workout until you get to that second or third 15 seconds when you're like, how come the 15 seconds of recovery felt faster than the 15 seconds of death?
Right? Yeah. So, time goes slower.
Time goes slow. Yes, it does. So anyway, that's going to really hurt later because after yesterday's lift session, it's like, man, my muscles, my legs are sore today. Like I feel it. And so I'm a little worried. And so then it's like, well, I don't want to like lose the quality of the workout, but like, the whole point of this is that you're probably going to have failure, and that's okay because right now is the time for you to have the failure. And
you're trying to build the strength and the neuromuscular connection. So those seated sprints are basically trying to get you to fire and get out all of the
everything
muscle,
out of that
neuromuscular
connection.
Yeah, you're trying to get all the glycogen out of those muscles, and you're just basically the whole idea is that if it was like a world tour like coached program, you would basically be doing those sprints until failure.
Yeah.
Until there was
believe me, there would be failure.
Yeah, until there was enough of a drop off that you could be like, all right, he's not getting anything out of it, and then he's done.
Yeah.
So that might happen at 2.
Yeah.
Might happen at 6.
Exactly.
So like you just that's
just
the difference between like having a pro level coach and stuff like that. You don't get a set number of intervals. You do the intervals until you fail.
I got a t-shirt from a race I did. It's like you don't finish. The work does something like it doesn't end when the work is finished. I can't remember the quote.
Oh, it's like the Goggins quote.
Yeah.
You don't quit when you're tired. You quit when you're done.
Something like that. Yeah, it's kind of like that. And that's just it. That's the type of workout it is. But the whole intent, and this is why it's important to understand the purpose of your workouts. And if you don't understand the purpose of them, you should really be talking to your coach. And if you don't have a coach, you should really be thinking about the blocks of your plan and purpose, because that's going to help you with this whole notion of prioritizing quality.
Yeah.
The purpose of this is use the strength day to do the heavy lifts and to promote the adaptation of strength gain. Use the second day for these all-out sprint efforts to create that neuromuscular connection. Get it all the way to failure and train your body for repeatability the best you can.
Yep.
And the idea is I probably will fail. In fact, when I did these on late last week, because it's the second week of doing them, I did fail on the third set of 4 15 on, 15 off. I failed on the final 15 seconds. 6 seconds into it, I failed. And then I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the fourth one. And then by the time the fourth one came around, I just gave it what I had. It's like I just gave whatever I had, I gave it to it. And so I've already expected that most likely I will get through the first 2 and my legs will be fried completely. And hey, you know what? If that's what it is, just soft pedal zone 2, focus on recovery, get the carbs going later tonight, and just deal with it, because I got what I needed to get out of the workout.
Yeah, and then the other part that you get to see too is that let's say you do this workout, this time you succeed.
Yeah.
Okay, so that shows improvement. That's a huge win.
Right.
Or if we were talking about last week, that's a win, right? And that you chalk that in the win column.
Yeah.
Let's say the other thing happens where you go in and you fail, but maybe you don't fail exactly where you failed before. You fail a little bit further in.
Sure.
Okay.
That'd be great.
That's another win.
That's a win.
Right.
Chalk it up.
That's chalk it up. Check it off. You can see the tangible improvement.
That's right.
Now this time, let's say you go in and you fail sooner than you did last time.
Right.
Now you could say, oh, well, that's a loss or whatever.
Yep.
Or you could look back and go, all right, let me look back at the strength that I did the day before. Did I go deeper than I thought I did? Maybe I lifted a little heavier than what was kind of prescribed or what I'm used to. And so then you're like, okay, so then it might take another week of adaptation.
Right.
So it's not necessarily a loss. It just kind of shows you. Now, just kind of shows you where, like, okay, you might just be just a little heavy right now.
That's right.
Like if you lighten everything up by 5 pounds, maybe you can
come back around next time.
Or maybe you just lift the same next time and you already adapted.
Yeah.
The other part too is like, you get it. If you end up failing earlier than you usually did, the impetus is always to like, oh, it's all messed up. It's all over.
That's right.
That's not the focus, right? The focus of this training block is to get you to fail.
That's right.
And, to get you to that failure point on the muscular. So if you fail early, then you're like, okay, I got to prioritize recovery.
Yeah.
I got to make sure that I'm lifting, with good form, all that other stuff. But I don't think you're going to fail.
No, I'm not sweating it too much. And it's funny because I want to tie this back to last week when we talked about identifying progress.
Yeah.
And this is why it's so important to pay attention. Don't obsess over your numbers, but pay attention to them.
Right. Because last week you probably didn't lift as heavy as you did yesterday.
That's true.
So
true story.
That's a win, right?
That's a win.
So there's the scales here.
Right.
So you're balancing a win you got a win in the column here and the win column, one in the win column.
Yeah.
You might have one in the loss column.
But I'm actually pretty optimistic because on the strength side, the weights on the barbell are going up.
Yep.
That's what everybody wants to see.
Exactly.
That means I haven't hit my plateau yet. I'm good. I feel good about that. The other good indicator, and again, why I choose not to obsess over these things. I used to obsess as well as anybody. I would obsess over a lot of these things. But when we were out riding last week, and I had these 4x4 415s, and it was all seated accelerations as well. And I remember telling you, like, we got done with that ride, I was like, man, I was gassed, but like I saw some numbers I hadn't seen there before in a long time. And what's funny is I wish there was a way to tell. I wish you had a way to tell, like, everybody's got your power curve and your power records, but I would love to know what my power record for a seated position was. Because I have to think the power I generated in at least 2 of the intervals last week were top 2 all time seated acceleration, seated PRs. Because the numbers I saw, I was like, I had a hard time last year getting 100 watts more than that standing up all out. And so that feels real. So that to me felt like a win. Whether it actually is or not, it sure felt like a win. So I'm going to tell myself it was a win. But again, it's all about, like, okay, validation of the process. And so now I've seen some of the validation. Now, like, this week, it just fuels me more to just make sure I prioritize the quality, which is why the episode is what it is, because it's like, use these things to build on itself. Because so we talked about the very first week, it's like February is the month. Make it the month that sets the tone for the rest of the season. How are you going to identify progress throughout the month and the rest of the season? Well, once you find the ways to identify the progress, how are you going to prioritize the quality now to make sure that you can fulfill those first 2 things? And this is why I think these episodes, a series of episodes, is really important. And hopefully folks are kind of putting the pieces together here along and just kind of look at your own plan and look at your own progress, because I have a feeling you can, even if you maybe are discouraged, like, oh, maybe I've missed a few too many workouts, and guess what? Start right now. What's the most important thing to get done this week in your plan? And let's focus on those things. And then if you got to take an extra day for recovery, then scrap the stuff that's not important. Focus on your recovery. Because that's one thing I'm learning. Everybody says it, and I'm just convinced you have to experience it to know it, is recovery is the most important adaptation.
Because I mean, that's how you do it. It's so important, and everybody's like, well, I'll just do these tired and I'll just do that. if that's what's meant to happen, if you're supposed to go in fresh, then
go in fresh.
You need to go in fresh.
It's like when you do threshold and VO2 max work, rarely are you doing those going in gassed. Usually you try to do those fresh so you can hold that 10-minute effort and grind
there's
it out.
a reason they're at the front part of the week. Because you're usually the most fresh.
That's right.
After those easy rides on the weekend. A lot of times too, like, to get back on the progress thing and the identifying that, a lot of athletes will, I'll explain to them, like, hey, you're doing good. You're at a good spot right now. And then of course they'll go, well, how do you know? Right. That's always the thing, right? Like, how do you know? How do you know?
How do you know? And how do I know you're not just telling me?
How do you know I'm not just blowing smoke?
Right.
So a lot of times in my athletes' workouts, they'll either have, like, a lot of times I'll give them, like, if we're doing like a VO2 block, there'll be a set of 2040s, set of 10. They'll be on there, or they'll if they're a more established athlete, then they'll do like 2-minute efforts,
right?
And then they'll see them that first week of the block. Then they won't probably see that for a while or something, or they'll see some variations of that. But then come 4 weeks after that, they'll see another 2-minute block like that. So it's not sneaky or anything, but it's kind of one of those things where I tend to program into my athletes, and most coaches do this, is they're not, I would call them like testing blocks, where I like to throw those in, especially if we're testing a certain physiological response. So we'll take VO2 max, for example. What I'll do is they'll have that first VO2 max, and then a couple weeks later, after we've done our VO2 max block, we'll have that almost that same exact workout, and then I'll show them that of course they answered their RP, their feeling on it, they recorded their heart rate, their power, all that kind of stuff. Then I'll show them the one that we just did, after they've asked me, am I improving? And I'll show them, well, here was your max heart rate for that 10, those 10 blocks, or that 10 repeated efforts. And here was your heart rate when you first did it.
Right.
Here's your max power.
Yep.
For those efforts. Here's your max cadence.
Yeah.
Here's what you said, how hard it was.
That's right. Your RPE.
Comparatively.
Yeah.
And so if those things are trending in the right direction, then we're doing the right
track.
stuff.
Yeah.
So that's how you know the priority, the making sure that you're hitting the right systems. You're doing the right stuff.
Yep.
Is you're getting that one subjective feedback, the RPE, all that stuff. You're getting the other feedback, your pace, your watts, whatever.
All the objective data.
Yeah, all the objective data, and you're comparing that.
Yeah.
And a good coach will put in these kind of testing type efforts, and you'll see it too if you've done this long enough. There's nothing new for training, right? There's a 20-minute FTP ride or 5x5s. Anybody heard of those?
Yeah, right.
5x10s.
Yeah,
you heard of those? Or 2x10s.
Yep.
5x2 minutes with 5 minutes recovery. It's all starting to 4x4s.
Yeah, it's all variations of this, and it's
you guys all hear the same thing?
And
those standard ones are usually show up.
Yeah, and all these exotic workouts, and you see these on social media a lot, where it's like, this is what the pros do, and it's like it's just variations of those things stretched out over 4 or 6 hour rides.
Yep.
And so there's only so many ways you can devise attacking the VO2 max system.
Yeah, exactly. especially when they're doing VO2 max. Yeah. And again, your improvements on the VO2 max side only come around for 4 to 6 weeks.
Right.
If you're like, oh, I was training VO2 max for 10 weeks, you probably hated life and everything around you.
Well, if you were truly doing a VO2 max.
You were probably hating every minute of it those last 2 weeks.
Now, and that's the thing. That's why I think people don't realize, even when you do that, you've got to take a block to recover and let your body absorb all of that. Yep. There's no way you can just keep doing it. Otherwise, it goes back to the quality. Again,
of the workout. if that was it, we would just see this endless
linear progression of your
data, of stuff. So,
well, and I think that goes back to the protecting the quality of your workout, and that goes for the intensity side as well. When the intensity does start to ramp up, and it's like I'm guilty, so I'm just going to say it. Like, how many times have you seen where it's like, oh, you're going to do 2 10-minute sweet spot intervals, and you get into that first one, you're like, man, I'm really feeling pretty good. This sweet spot doesn't feel like it's going to hit the right system. I think I'm going to, I'm going to creep up to threshold a little bit.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and hit that middle. I think today's the day I'm going to find out if I'm a little stronger.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to get on that slippery slope, and the next thing you know, you're creeping up into the threshold and VO2 max, and maybe you have found a new fitness level that you didn't know you had. And guess what else you did? You just sacrificed the quality of that workout because you got another 10-minute block you got to do. And let's just say you can hold on for that 10 minutes in sweet spot as prescribed. The overall impact of that workout is now
way higher than what it should have been.
Way higher. And now what happens? Well, the next day, if you're backing off that, you just dug yourself the hole, right? You hope you can build a ladder down there because you got yourself a hell of a hole you're going to have to dig out of. And the only way to dig out of those holes is just recover. And the worst part of your plan is when you're sitting there going, I put myself in this position, and now I have to just basically do a mobility day. Which, don't get me wrong, nothing wrong with mobility day, but it feels like it feels like a waste when it's not a planned mobility day.
Yeah, when it's a forced mobility day, or a forced rest day.
Yeah. And that goes back to, well, what if the next day? So today I cooked my sweet spots because my legs felt great. Guess what? If tomorrow is, we're going to go ahead and do some threshold intervals because, sweet spot really doesn't tax the system too bad. You should be able to recover.
Yep.
But since you overcooked it yesterday, you really didn't recover.
Yep.
But now today we're going to go ahead and do thresholds, and we're going to go ahead and do those 2 20-minute thresholds back to back, with maybe an 8-minute rest in between, right? The classic one.
Yep.
How well do you think you're going to be ready? You can't execute that as well as you could have if you just would have followed the plan.
Yep.
Those aren't the days. Those aren't the days to try to test and find new fitness levels.
No,
let the ego set the ego to the side.
You have dedicated testing days.
Yeah.
If you're following any plan, they'll have testing days.
That's right.
And then you have races.
I was going to say race day.
Great testing
Especially
days.
if it's a B race or an A race.
Yep.
You're golden.
You're going to be testing.
Yeah. If it's a C race, you
probably shouldn't test unless you find yourself noodling off the front. And everybody's just not paying attention.
I would question what ratio.
I would question maybe, you should sign up for a harder race or, or you're just that fit.
Yeah.
I mean, and if that's the way it is, then cool.
That's what's coming up for us for Dirty Disco. I mean, on my plan, no offense to the race, of course, but it's listed as a C race because it's the first one of the year.
Yep.
I have no desire to try to test out my anaerobic and neuromuscular systems on that day.
Yeah. And I don't know what the weather is going to be because it could be 3 feet of snow out there for all I know.
That's right. You need the fat bikes out there.
It's Kansas.
Yeah. But I think what's important is, hey, that's a C race. And guess what? It's an endurance day. It's going to be my long ride for the week. Yep. And will I put some efforts in? Of course I will. But I'm not going to cook the system.
Yeah.
And because the next day, as it sits today, I've got a 3-hour ride the next day. Now, that's probably not going to hold up because my guess is that Dirty Disco is probably going to be a long day. Much longer, probably even longer than I expect. And it's probably going to have enough fatigue out of that race that it's probably going to go ahead and just put me into a rest day the next day. Yeah. And that's okay. I'm okay with that because anytime you get out there and get, 6.5, 7 hours of good quality endurance work with maybe a couple, efforts to stay honest, it's a good deal. Yep. So, but yeah, so protect the quality on the things you can control too about the intensity. Because man, it's so easy to just go out there like, I feel great today. This is the day. This is the day.
So you were talking about your ride this weekend.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
And basically you were talking. So basically when we have this stretch road that we ride up and down, and we see a bunch of cyclists on there.
Well, in case you were wondering, one of us is usually the local legend. I mean, for those of you that pay attention to those things, I mean, not trying to brag, but we are the
we're
local,
not worthy.
we're
not worthy.
I am the local legend
we
around
suck.
here.
We're scum.
when you catch up to a ride and like, oh, you ride here often, like, well, I am the local legend.
I am.
I'm surprised you didn't recognize.
I'm sorry you didn't know, but it's okay.
I won't.
You'll find out soon enough. But yeah, no. But again, like you were out riding, and you were just putting in. You were adhering to your workout,
straight endurance.
Straight endurance, doing what you were doing.
Yep.
You passed some riders.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, you have this rider trying to catch up to you.
Yeah.
And his excuse was he was doing an effort.
Yeah, that's right. It was really interesting. I hope he listens. That'd be funny if he does. I didn't catch his name. But yeah, I was coming out of the turnaround spot on the route, and I noticed these 2 riders up ahead of me, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I kept getting closer and closer, and then as I got to probably within maybe a few hundred yards, I noticed that the guy in front kept looking back more frequently. I thought maybe his radar was going off because we did have a lot of traffic, but then he just kept looking back. Well, then I noticed,
how fast is this guy catching me?
Right, and then I noticed that the gap stopped closing, and I'm like, okay, so he picked up the pace. That's okay. Look, I'm just out here.
I'm out here doing my workout. It's just one of those things you just kind of notice, and you're just like, I'm not
chasing that.
I'm not chasing you. I'm not here. I'm just riding my pace, man.
I'm on my gravel bike with 47 tires, and you're on your road bike with probably 32s, and so you should beat me on any given day and go have fun. In fact, it's not a race. Just go enjoy the day. It's a beautiful day out here, right? And so I noticed the gap stopped closing, and then the gap started closing again. So I was like, "This is interesting."
Yep.
Well, I had already. So the day before were supposed to be tempo rides, and I had to scrap that because my Friday night to Saturday, the sleep was not great quality. I won't go into details why it was not great quality. It was within my control. I'll just leave it at that.
Still balancing
life, right?
Yep.
But in any case, Saturday was not going to happen the way it was prescribed, and it also wasn't that critical. So again, protected the quality. The long ride was more important than the tempo ride for where I'm at right now. So I did look though. I was like, I've got a heavy lift day on Monday. I could do because I was supposed to on Saturday. I was supposed to do 2 or 3 15-minute tempo efforts. I was like, I can do one and still hold my weekly load, my workload down to a level that I'm not going to stretch anything. So I can do one good tempo effort. Yeah. So when I noticed that, I was like, all right, I'm going to go. I wasn't going to cash in the tempo effort, but I was like, you know what? Since I'm seeing this guy yo-yo up here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that tempo effort in right now. So I put it in, closed the gap, said the pleasant, nice to see you out here, great day, have a nice day kind of thing. And then went on the road, right? And and then a few minutes later, like I'm done with my tempo block, and my radar goes off, and I'm like, oh, it must be a car. And I look back, and it's that guy, and he's like, he's gassed. Yeah. And I go, oh, hey, welcome back. And he goes, oh, I just felt like I had to put an effort in back there. And I was like, okay.
All right.
I was like, well, don't let me stop you. Go ahead, keep going. He goes, oh no, I'm good. I'm done. I already put my effort in. I'm like, well, what effort were you putting in?
Yeah.
Like, I'm confused here.
Yeah.
Like, maybe he was just out riding, trying to just enjoy a day, right? Who knows? Yeah. Maybe he's not even working off of a plan, and that's okay too.
Yeah, and he just goes. But again, he sacrificed his if
he is on a plan.
If he is on a plan, he may have sacrificed his quality.
I guarantee he did
to protect his ego.
Yeah.
Which we're all guilty of. I've done it. I know you've done it.
I have.
We've all done it. We're all guilty. Guilty as charged.
No judgment. Yeah.
No judgment. It's
hilarious.
It's just one of those things where you're like, oh man.
But you know what? That also, because like you can also remember, we've all been there too, we still are there, where there's always going to be a better rider that comes along.
There's so many
that's
good
stronger,
riders,
right? And so a stronger rider is always going to come along, and you're going to be going at what you think is a good speed, and then you're going to and then they just go right by you, and you're like, holy. So it is kind of nice when you're that rider, but like, it's fun when you're that rider. But then I understand when you get past, and you gotta kind of it kind of sucks. But hey, you know what? I've acknowledged a long time ago I'm slow. I'm okay with that.
I usually only chase down the guys that never say hi.
That's true.
I ride up next to him. It's like, what? You can't say hi? Effort's too hard? Say anything nice?
I was going to say, usually that's when it's like, as you pass them, it's just reach down for the water bottle and get a nice long drink as you're passing them. What's funny, though, is when that guy, he tried to get back onto my wheel one more time. And it was on remember that little segment, I think it's called the last push, the bridge. And so, by the way, that segment, we've been chasing the KOM, and we were with the guy that set the new KOM last year. Travis did the lead out.
I did the lead out for him. So,
now
we got our work cut out.
We got our work cut out. So thanks a lot, Travis.
Yep, no problem. Anytime, guys.
Yeah. So I put a small effort in, like a I call it a sweet spot. Kind of
it's like it's like a 2-minute climb maybe.
Oh no, it's like
the record's like 40 seconds or something.
It's like that. The record I think is 37 seconds, but on an average day of just noodling kind of stuff, it's going to take you about a minute and a half to get it.
So like we usually use that as kind of like the litmus test of like how the legs are feeling at the end of a ride. Yeah. Like if you can hold decent power and maybe you get up at like in a minute, then you're like, okay, I'm in a good spot. Yeah. If it takes us 90 seconds to get up it, then we're like, that ride was probably a little too rough.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of like our last little,
I love that little spot.
Spot that we just like to kind of like just get a good feeling of how well we executed the workout and then kind of how everything's feeling.
And 99% of the people that ride that spot probably could care less about it. But this is one of those things that's always stuck with me. That particular spot has always stuck with me.
It's just one of our favorite sections of road.
Yeah, you and I have raced against each other on it, and it's been just a fun spot. So this guy gets back close to my wheel again, and you know how it pitches up a little bit towards the end.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I was like, you know what? Maybe it's a good chance to get payback on one of the seated accelerations that I didn't get done on Friday. So
Danny making the errors of making up workouts.
So I put the hammer down on that last little hump up and over. And I was just to make sure that he knew if he was going to really hang around, he's going to have to work for it.
Yeah.
So. But he was a nice guy. It was just funny. He kept coming back. But anyway, that kind of goes back to the whole thing. Like a little thing like that is not going to sacrifice the quality of a 2.5 hour workout. It was at the end of a ride. Yeah. I had plenty of time to recover. The next day is a strength day, and it wasn't going to put me at risk of missing anything. So that's the whole idea. But that's the purpose, like riding with intent right now. Yeah. And purpose. And it's even one of those things like, hey, even on your endurance days, like you can be smart and still put an effort in somewhere. Just don't cook it. Don't bury yourself. Yeah. So, good. Yeah, good stuff. So that was fun. Do you want to you want to see what ChatGPT has to say?
Yeah, let's see about my panic training.
So we've been keeping ChatGPT at arm's length because we just are too scared of what it's going to come up with.
Right.
But there's some good stuff in here. So just for February training in general, okay, not specific to prioritizing the quality, but for February training, ready? Trainer in the basement or 28 degrees and windy outside?
Oh, trainer in the basement.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's another way of preserving quality too. Like you don't get roped into trying to chase somebody down. I mean, that's one of the things that I would say that I do really try to adhere to is when I do have quality workouts, I tend to do those on the trainer because I will get roped in to chasing somebody down when I need to be doing something else.
I know you will.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you, I plan to use that against you.
Yeah, the more we get, bait Travis.
That's right. So for those of you riding at Dirty Disco, you want to see him get into it. All right. Sleep 5 hours and train or sleep 8 and miss it?
It depends. I would say sleep 5 and train still.
Yeah.
It depends on how
depends on what it is.
Yeah, what it is and how sore I am.
So Sunday's 2.5 hour ride, I only had like 6 hours of sleep that night before. Again, well within my control. Right. That's right.
Danny was dancing it up.
Yeah, we had a good time Saturday. So well within my control, but I was like, you know what, it's the long ride, and I didn't really care what my recovery metrics said. It was my long ride, and my body was stressed. I'm going to stress it some more, and maybe not the smartest move in the world, but it turned out I had a great ride. It was probably one of my better rides of the year, so no complaints.
Yeah, it's always like one of those things that's like sometimes I sleep really well, and I still like just feel kind of like sleep hungover.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I sleep horrible, but I still feel like doing stuff.
That's
so it's kind of like going off of what you feel is going to be the best option for you.
Yeah. This is a good one. As we look ahead to March, because these are coming, 3x20 at sweet spot or over unders until you see God.
I'm a big fan of over unders.
Yeah, I know you are.
I think that's kind of like just
that's your jam.
Yeah, sweet spot I like it, but it's just kind of like I think I get more out of the over unders.
Yeah, I do too. In fact, we were talking about that before. Like as the plan, I'm looking ahead for March and April. I'm like, I'm not seeing a lot of over under work, and I'm not feeling good about that because I know Travis is doing them, and that's one of the things to me. Over unders, when I put in a block with over unders in it after about 4 or 5 weeks, man, you notice it. Yeah, like you feel it.
You really develop that lactate clearing. Yeah. It's just you can just. I mean, that really builds that sustained power.
You know how else you build it is you just freaking rail it until you can't anymore, and then you just hold that sweet spot as long as you can.
And then you do that too. You just do all the over, and then you just do all the under.
So whether you break it up in interval or you do it 1 and 1, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. It's just all the same.
So let's see here. Carb up or stay lean?
Oh, carb up.
Yeah, for sure.
Carbs all the way. Yeah, clearly carb up.
Speaking of, we notice we've avoided the talk of the weight sessions, the weight results. Although I have to say, I'm treading water. I'm not going the direction I want, but I'm treading water.
I am. So I did the creatine loading.
Yeah.
And then
so you gained about 14 pounds.
Exactly. So my chart went like this, and then creatine loaded, and then kind of almost went back up to where it was, and then now it's starting to come down.
There you go.
But I've also heard a tip that to reduce the amount of like kind of water weight that you retain, you can add a little bit of salt to your creatine.
I didn't know that,
and that'll help it. Because it is water soluble,
yeah,
but it also gets transported through the sodium channels to your muscles. Right. So it gets utilized more if you have a little bit of salt in the liquid that you're drinking. So like a Propel or whatever.
Yeah. I usually mix mine in my
or liquid IV.
It's
or
weird
something like
that. in the training like we're doing now, preseason training, I'll call it. I drink. The amino energy powder that you would get at Costco. Mm-hmm. I think it's grape is what's out now, which I'm a fan of. I don't know if it is for everybody, but I put the creatine in that. It's got a bunch of the amino acids in it. It's got a little bit of electrolytes. I would not call it an electrolyte drink, but it's got a little bit in there. I've put in liquid IV before. I never realized that though. I might have to try that out.
Yeah. I just found that out this week.
My problem is I tend to forget creatine on days I don't lift.
I take it every day now.
I know.
I mean, there's so many benefits for it. Like it basically can, cure cancer.
We're not qualified to speak to it, right? But there's a lot of episodes on different channels out there now about how like 10 grams of creatine, and even people are going up to 15 and 20 grams.
Yeah,
of creatine.
especially if you're somebody who suffers from like depression or anxiety and stuff. They say like, going up to 20 grams can help that.
Whatever's not using your muscles, they claim goes to your brain, and it helps with like if you're having sleep issues and like you're not getting enough sleep, it will help take away some of those effects. So I don't know how much of that to believe yet.
There's a lot of studies out on it, so definitely like, get out there, do your own research, talk to your physician, all that stuff. But a lot of it is really good. It's really promising. You can't hurt yourself other than just gaining water weight, which could be, especially when it starts to get hotter, maybe a benefit, but other than that, like there's really not a downside to taking it.
Yeah. Let's see a couple more here. So, hit your numbers or quit when it works or quit when it hurts. Gosh dang.
No, hit the numbers.
Yeah, you got to.
It's always got to be hitting the numbers.
Hit the numbers. I mean, if you can't hit the numbers, hit as close to the numbers as you can.
Yep.
Yeah, don't ever quit just when it hurts. Now, if it hurts pain, like sharp pain, that's an injury. That's a different story. But just because something hurts, that's one thing I focused on when I was talking about the execute to failure on those 15-second sprints. It's like my legs were failing because I was just going way too hard, and I'm like it was past hurt. It was just they just wouldn't fire.
Yeah, they just wouldn't go.
They just wouldn't fire.
Yeah.
So definitely hit the numbers. Get the intent. Let's see here. One more. Where'd it go? A couple more. One long ride or 2 medium rides?
I'd probably say now 2 mediums.
Really? Oh, for now? Yeah. I guess for now. Yeah. I mean, like I thought of it. I was thinking that more like preference. Like I really enjoy long, easy rides.
I do like them, but right now it's going to be like, if you were to go out today, it's 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Oh my gosh.
So I'd rather have 2 shorter rides.
That's right.
Until I'm actually forced to be out in it.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. Where'd the other one go? I just lost it. Let's see here. Chase KOMs or chase durability?
Chase durability.
Yeah. It's funny. That's the hottest thing right now on a lot of the big channels. They're all talking about durability and how FTP, and they've been talking about FTP's dead for a long time.
It's so dead. It's so dead. Just chase durability. So again, if you're chasing durability, a good way you can test it is you do your long ride, and at the very end, you do, I don't know, like you could do like 3 or 4, VO2 max efforts. Either 30 seconds to 2 minutes worth of effort.
Yeah.
But it's got to be like a ride that's like longer than 2 hours.
Yeah.
So, again, like we say, we tend to like that, last push because it's right next to where the cars are. And usually if we're out riding for 4 or 5 hours, it's the last little section.
Yeah.
So basically, if you want to test how your durability is going
and how your fueling
is going, because it's probably more tied to your fueling than it is to your durability.
Yeah.
You're going to test those VO2 max efforts or, anaerobic efforts or whatever effort you want to test with at the end of your ride.
Right.
And then you're going to kind of repeat that over a couple of weeks and see how that is improving or not improving. So,
yeah, exactly.
If it's not improving, then your durability is not coming up.
Yeah, and there's all different ways to train that. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you're going to ride gravel, you got to have durability.
Yeah, the most important thing is just being consistent. So
exactly.
if you miss a lot of quality workouts, if you don't prioritize the quality, you're not going to build the durability.
You got it. So cool, man. Well, that's a good one. And so let's see. Next week we're gonna be getting really close to the end of February, so we're gonna know how close we are to giving away that second entry.
Yeah,
and so we're hitting that, and then we'll be looking ahead to March, I think, next week. So good stuff.
And then how to handle March.
You believe it's already here?
I know.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. So
all right,
man. Well, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll talk to you later.